doing, sir?
Bob Geller, Superintendent. Please.
Well, it's a short agenda, so, and we have some things in the parts that John's report, so we'll get through this a little quicker. I do have a legislative request tonight for repair work that we had Spires Paving give us. This patchwork where they had the water main break in front of Meritor, and we had to do a quick patch, and it was probably November or sometime when we did it. It's not very smooth. So we asked Spires to give us a cost on that, and they gave us some costs on some other projects with the mayor and I discussed it. And we think we need to do the 79 repair. I know Cletus even said something to us about how rough it is. So I have a legislative request to do the repair work on State Route 79 north of Oak Railroad and our contract with Spires Paving. It is for $7,946. And again, that was caused by, we just had that 79 paved, and then bam, we had a water main break, and we had to do a quick repair job on that, and they're going to cut it out. Do it right.
And they did the best they could with it at the time. As I remember, it was still really soupy.
Oh yeah, that's when that was bad.
Yeah.
Does that come out of streets or does that come out of water?
Now you're talking.
I mean, essentially, we wouldn't have to have done it if it hadn't been for the water main
we were
break.
planning on it coming out of the license plate revenue.
You have a point, though.
It's an interesting question. If it hadn't been for the break, we wouldn't have to do the work.
Because wasn't it all paved in conjunction with the whole
it's
project?
all brand new.
All in favor of sticking it to John
I think that's got some merit. I really do.
A lot of the signs when they have repair work, a lot of times they'll pay for that.
Jeff?
I think it's a great idea.
For what now? What's your great idea?
I'm supporting Kelly's idea.
Here's the
As
good
rare
news.
as that usually is, but I'm going to actually support
John
Tim
Gallo's
Kelly
going to
on
be
that.
here about 6 o'clock to talk about something in finance, so he won't be
Right now-
completely blindsided by it.
No, not completely.
To take it out of the $10 license plate tax money. So if you want to change that, that's up to
You know, I mean, honestly, I hadn't thought about that, but really, Tim has a good point. Had it not been for the water main break that occurred
The
there,
street would not
we
be
wouldn't.
tore up.
Yeah.
So really, that's...
I mean, water caused it. It wasn't caused by anything else other than water.
Exactly.
On top of the water main.
Well, he can move his water line out from under it if he wants to.
No, I would say if
You know.
you guys make a decision, then you guys can change it. You can change it if you guys decide. Council decides.
Now, will that affect our rates? I mean, it's only 7,000 on the water, so, I don't want to have a water company with that.
All
I can
those,
see the
hey,
point.
all
Yeah,
those,
I know.
you're in favor of that, Jeff?
Straw vote, yeah, straw votes is up. I'm thumbs up. I really am.
We need to appropriate the money out of.
Are you gonna ask for no's? Yep. You asking for no's?
You got it out. One no. Thank you.
Put it on record.
All right.
That's
Hey,
that's
I
a
don't
good
really
point.
need that no because I only need these two guys in my
You
committee.
can count to 4, right? Can you count to 4?
I think
Yeah, big, yeah, count to 4.
I think that makes sense. I mean, if
It honestly does.
Jeff is on the other one. It's never, look, you're stepping aside from past practice a long way.
what's happened
Well,
in the
any
past.
time in the past when you get a water main break and they dig up the street, that doesn't end up being the water fund that fixes it, is it?
Well, a lot of times if we went and got the attachment material, we've given the bill to the water plant.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's happened every
And
time, but it has happened.
Sometimes they've repaired it good enough to where you didn't have to do anything else to it.
We're not talking
But
about
you
the
still
size.
paid for the material.
You normally do the labor, but the bill for the asphalt goes to the water, and they pay for the water for that. But you do your labor. In this case, we're having someone pay for the
Or if-
labor and pay for
Or
the
if they need to bring in some fill, they'll
The difference is this was a large area.
Yeah.
And we got 40,000 cars a day going over this, so just a quick little
Right.
patch job like
It
you do on
doesn't matter
residential
to me where
street.
the money
Like on
comes out.
Is
Franklin
not,
Avenue or
yeah,
something
we're not
like that.
talking
I was
about
thinking of John Go.
Franklin Avenue here, we're talking about 40,000 cars a day. You better do it
Department's
right.
gonna put a toll gate up.
Big trucks too.
I mean, seriously, I agree with Keith. I mean, and yes, it was caused by that, but, you know, we're gonna start nitpicking it. There's a lot of different,
Well, we're already taking money out of one pocket, putting it in another pocket all the time in the city, all the time. Because it happens to me all the time. I pay permits, I pay this and that, So we're already taking money out of one pocket, putting it in another pocket all the time.
My thinking is if you got $7,000, you can put towards another little patch of road like South 30th stub or Irvingwick West stub that we haven't already committed to that sorely needs it. I'd put that $7,000 towards that.
The street fund is being hit hard enough.
Yeah.
And a $7,000 hit on that fund.
Well, you're already going down to almost zero, is what I heard
Right.
today, because of taking money out for the Irvingwick Drive.
Irvingwick, yeah.
Have we got money for South 30th? The little stub down there? No, or
Is that in the paving?
That's in the paving.
Yeah, that's in the
That was
pavement.
That's
in the
Inspires this
Irvingwick
project.
West? We got that. We have no money for change orders or overruns or anything, right? We're just done. So if we got $7,000 extra,
Well, the Spires paving bid includes the South 30th Street
That jump.
stub.
But there
And
could be a few change orders up until we don't know
we're leaving
yet.
this
I
no
mean, it
money
could
for
be-
change orders. Zip.
Well, I'm not,
He's
we
got
haven't
some.
committed, I don't know when this money's due for Thornwood Drive. When's that money due? Next year?
John just walked out. No, Thornwood Drive,
That's this.
we need to, yeah, that's this year.
That's this year.
See, I don't know what the balance is after that, I don't. 'cause I don't
90.
know.
There's about 80 or 90.
Like I said, when we talked with Linda last week, subtracting that out and subtracting out what we need to cover Irvingwick West, it left about $10,000 in the license plate tax fund.
But there was money, you did
When
declare
we
the
did
money.
Wedgwood, it was down to
You
nothing.
did declare the money to do the Thornwood though, or not?
We're gonna,
That was in there. The Thornwood part of it.
no. The Thornwood Drive's not being done this year.
No, okay, that's just what I was
It's
wondering.
Irvingwick West.
West, that's right.
Yeah.
Down to Thornwood.
Yes, yes.
So,
No, I mean, Bob's right. If material needs to be gotten from the street department to pay for patching and of main breaks or whatever, the street department determines how much was used and then sends a bill to John, and the water department, the water fund pays it.
Well, I mean, again, the only difference is, we can always fire back that we use water to pull, and some of that water we don't pay for. It's all sorts of.
No, it isn't. No.
I'm not.
taking money out of one, pay for something. Everything that was there that I knew was coming.
It's all city.
Right.
Tim, you're always doing it.
Taking was critical.
I just throw it out there and
Okay.
Whether it's
stir the pot.
straightening
All right.
on 30th
That's
Street.
taken care of.
Okay.
Next on here.
The legislative request that I think we passed last meeting on the additional signs we have to get are ordered. So again, they always tell us 2, 4, 6 weeks in, so.
My question is, how many additional signs, and then how much additional money based on that to do like the rest of the city advertising?
That I don't know.
Okay.
But I could research that. See.
I just curious to research how many, I know Southgate has signs, my neighborhood has signs, so, I don't drive around every neighborhood to see who does and who doesn't have, but I'd just be curious You know,
Just
if we had,
low-income areas then.
I know, I tell you, that's
Necessary because those are the areas that qualified for the
question is-
CDBG funding, so.
Well,
Tim, your question is how many are on order or how many have you done?
no, my question is, after he's done with all these signs
Right.
that we did for this project, how many corners still will have the old fashioned up and down sign post as opposed to the new official sign we're supposed to have?
Yep.
So we can start calculating how much it's gonna cost to complete the whole city.
How many?
'Cause I don't want it to go by, I mean, I'd like to see us every
Yeah,
every
we
year
need to continue to
so many,
replace some, yep.
so that we
Yeah, I
get it
think
done
that's a
within
great
a
idea.
timely fashion, because otherwise we'll forget, and next thing you know, we won't get it done, and people will
Yeah.
be going, how come my neighborhood doesn't have it, you know?
Right.
Say, well, you're in the rich neighborhood, you're not poor like me, and, so you need to be poor,
Rich man poor.
make too much money.
Hey, Tim, you know, we was talking about those street signs that sold.
Yeah.
I went and picked up that one that lady wanted. Those guys, that thing's 9 feet long and it's a 6x6. I thought that's a big piece of timber.
Yeah, call his wife to help him get it.
You made Shirley put that in your car, didn't you?
Did you stick it through one window and out the other side?
I put it in the van and I was like 4 inches and I went along with a dinger, ding, 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 ding.
Bob, there's a way that we can, go ahead, Dick, I'm sorry.
These signs are the ones that the government said we need to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
How many other towns are as far ahead as we are?
I'll bet you not very many.
Well, how many did Newark have to change out, or did theirs already comply?
I don't think letter height
wise?
I don't know if they all comply or not. I don't know. I've never measured it.
There's a lady from Grayshot asked me the other day, she said, "Are these signs these brown ones you putting up, or is that the new ones?" She said Grayshot had to put up a new sign from a wreck and said it's different from all the rest. I said, yeah. They're more expensive too.
Do you know how many of those vertical post signs we have sold? I don't know, 2. You know
Maybe
2?
3, I don't know.
Dean Jarnack, I know in Iowa, was the only 2 that those guys said over the other day that had got. Dean bought
Linda
2.
Boyles bought.
Dean
Daisy
bought
Lane.
2 and I bought 1.
I think so. 3 or 4 maybe.
I need to get.
You gotta get your overload.
I know. I gotta get my.
But I tell you, if somebody needs fence posts, I'd make a deal with them. Those are good. How much are
Bob, is there a way for us to be
25.
able to
$5.
take a look at, answering Tim's question without having to involve Job's?
Yeah, I think so. We can do a rough estimate.
I mean, all you have to do is you take a city map like that and
Yeah,
you put a dot everywhere where you've done
Eddie
them.
with
And
the
then,
GIS probably could help
Yeah,
with that.
we don't need to involve jokes in this.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I'd just be curious, like if you take a map like that, the city, just put a
Right.
dot everywhere you've got one,
Yep.
and then where you don't have, then you could count them up and just say, there's X number, and average cost per sign,
Right.
it'll cost, $200 per corner, 300, whatever it
The
is.
post, the sign.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd just be curious to see, and then maybe we could do whole neighborhoods at a time,
Yep.
as we pave the streets or something. Does Willow Ridge have the new signs or the old signs?
Old.
I'm just thinking that as we
Willow,
pave a neighborhood, we
Forest Hills.
do the signs.
River Oaks,
Anything
Greenbrier.
else? Anything else?
Golden Rushes? Greenbrier. I don't think any of those have.
What percent, we got a third of them done? Maybe a third of the posts are replaced?
I'd say at least a third. At least.
We're not to
Yeah.
half, we're somewhere between a third and a half.
Because there's a lot of streets in the area.
But we
that we're talking
did
about, a lot of
Southgate, so that's a lot.
Mhm.
That's a lot right there. So maybe more than a third.
That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of intersections where we're talking about.
All right, beat that dead horse good enough. Paving is going on right now. The first street they had paved was Carlton off of Heath Road. That's a very narrow street.
It's a one-lane road.
That's a one-lane road. So we have to do some trimming there. There's some. We don't own much right away there, according to John. Right, John?
Virtually nothing.
Yeah, like a foot on each side maybe. And there's a resident there that has some bushes
It's a
an
driveway.
early street, so I
16
guess
foot?
she
How wide
complained the
is
last
that?
time we trimmed it, but we're gonna have to trim it again.
If that,
Yeah.
Yeah, so, that street is done, and then they were up Willow Ridge, and I don't know how much they got done today, but they're in Willow Ridge now, they'll probably go to Forest Hills after that. So hopefully they got Willow Ridge.
I went home around lunch, they were working on Kimberly Court.
Okay. So they're probably gonna be up there another day or so, maybe,
Yeah.
go to Forest Hills probably.
Did you hear why they were delayed?
Well, yeah, I did, but you could tell council.
Well, this is what was it? Wednesday morning, I think. Dana from the street department happened to be in the neighborhood as I was coming into work, so I passed by and rolled my window down. And this was, we had that heavy rain on Tuesday, heavy rain on Monday, and then another heavy rain on Tuesday. So Wednesday, apparently in Lancaster, a street that goes up this hill. A lot of doctors have, live there. They call it Pill Hill. They apparently the water got like underneath the asphalt, and like it just buckled and rolled down, just came downhill. And so Spires was working on that at the end of last week. So they had repaired the spots that needed repaired, and they had paved Carlton, but they had to deal with that the latter part of last week. So they're back in town.
And they had milled part of most of Forest Hills, what they had to mill. I think they were ready to pave it, and they got caught off, so it got delayed a little bit. So I don't know if we've got that now. I want to go around. My Jeep was getting fixed, so I couldn't drive around with it. I wanted to just check things out, and I'll check it out tomorrow. Under other items, just we're catching up on mowing. With our 18 days of some kind of rain we had, we got a little bit behind, so we're mowing. They're doing some more patchwork, filling in holes around the city. So that's all I have, unless you have something else.
John's got stuff.
Well, for this, you're beyond the park, John.
Well, I have one thing for
Okay.
the streets.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
The county bid out the community development block grant project to pave Irvingwood Drive west between the railroad tracks and Thornwood. Only one company bid. The bid came in at about $65,000. The estimate was about $59,000. So the total amount, the county is contributing, or the community development block grant is contributing $36,000 approximately. What that means is the city is going to have to contribute about $29,000 for its match to pave that section of road.
The section is,
Between the railroad tracks and Thornwood Drive and Irvingwood Drive West. We've already done the agreement with the county to provide the match, but the county just wanted to let us know how much our match would be. We don't have to appropriate the money now. What they'll do probably within the next week is they'll let the contract, and probably within the next month it'll get paved. And after it's paved and they have the final expenses documented, then they'll send us a bill for our match. And our match will be around $29,000.
Do you know what company bid?
No, I don't. I gave a call, she didn't return the call, so.
Is that
It
many?
wasn't Spires.
No,
Because
it
we
was not
figured
Spires.
since they were in
the
town.
area, you thought they might.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, is that money coming out of the $10 license plate?
Yeah.
And the money that for Thornwood too? That's where you're getting the total.
For Thornwood.
Yeah, I thought we had to match something with Thornwood. but-
Well,
That's
yeah,
next
but
year.
that's
That's
gonna be,
next
year.
yeah, that's next year.
And we're also
And-
going for-
And we're going for OPWC.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Which, if we get it, should pretty much cover our
Zero
match
out
on
for us.
that, right?
Like the bridge.
Yeah.
So just for your information, that's,
anything else?
I got. Weather permitting, Thursday they'll do the railroad track, rest of the paving on 30th.
Okay.
Thursday,
Okay.
the latest. It was supposed to have been last Wednesday, but all
They're
the
gonna
rain
do,
messed them up.
keep it one lane each way? How are they gonna do it?
I haven't heard. I think they'll probably. I imagine they might close it completely just to get it because they got a mill right against the railroad track there on both sides.
Okay.
So I can't see them trying to just mill and then maintain, because it's so skinny right there.
Are they-
Probably get it done quicker if they just closed it off.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard.
Are they communicating with you on
No.
updates on it? Who's getting communicated with?
Kokosing, Ted Mohan left a message for Brian saying they'd be in Thursday, but since they're going through ODOT, so I imagine they'll probably, it's an ODOT project.
Yeah.
I think ODOT's looking at it being in Newark.
Yeah.
So we're probably not.
I mean, I'll keep you as much as I know,
Our safety forces
Right.
need to know if the
need to know
road's
whether they
being
get
closed.
squad across and everything,
I was down Perry County today to come back, and they got signs on 13 saying it's gonna be closed July the 18th. Yeah. Alternate Route 79 now.
And what that is ODOT, where Friends Heating and Cooling is, up past the radio station.
Yeah.
The bank is giving away and the guardrail is beginning to pull over. ODOT is going to do a reconstruction on that area. They're gonna have to close the road. Now, the date they gave us for the road closure, not when they begin the project, but the road closure is August 5th. The project's gonna begin in July sometime. Then they'll close it August 5th for, we're just gonna say 2 weeks, we're not really sure.
Yeah, they've had these big signs up today flashing and everything.
And the
It said that the
detour
road
will
would
be,
closed.
yeah, the detour will be 40 to 79 to State Route 16 in Newark. But probably what's going to happen is they'll take Dorsey Mill Road to 79 to Hopewell Drive, or Dorsey Mill Road to Franklin Ave to Hopewell Drive.
And they're closing, I think it's closed now, is 70 exit at 79 westbound.
Oh, isn't it? Oh, yeah,
2
they're going
weeks.
to be upgrading those.
2 weeks.
Is that the one there at Buckeye Lake?
So,
Which one are they closing? The one that goes into Buckeye Lake?
No.
79?
Where you're coming 70 and headed this way, be the northbound exit,
Oh,
westbound.
okay.
That's the one where I wrecked. There was 31 wrecks there in 2 years.
What's that?
31 wrecks in 2 years in that intersection.
because of those ramps.
What?
That's where he
70 westbound onto 79?
Yeah.
79 north, yeah.
Yeah.
That's where he wrecked.
It looks like there's a ramp.
Yeah.
It looks, when you turn around that corner, it just says yield, it looks like you've got a ramp to go out and merge in.
Yep.
But there
isn't.
I've always noticed that was dangerous.
Oh, yeah. Bad.
But the railroad track there on 21st Street, who's responsible for that? Is that
On 21st?
That's Newark.
Well,
Newark or
the railroad.
The railroad is responsible for the
It is,
crossing.
really?
It's terrible.
Yeah.
But it's just like Tim said in the past. The railroad will do it whenever they get ready to do it. They can say, hey, we need it done, and a perfect example of it is the one that was out there off of the road that kind of goes in that, where you go across that bridge. You turn off of Thornwood.
Canyon Road?
Huh?
Is it Canyon Road?
Canyon Road.
That goes out, and then you went around the bridge and around the nest, and then you went across that railroad track. That railroad track there was a mess for probably 8 or 10 years, and then they finally, because if you went across it with any kind of speed, it might tear the muffler right off your car. I mean, it was terrible.
One guy went out there, and the railroad track caught him.
Mufflers don't stop trains, so they don't care.
No,
I know what he's talking about too.
Yeah.
There's a
just whenever
graveyard
they decide
Yes.
there.
to make up their
Yeah.
mind that they want to do something, right, Tim? So.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we know.
Well, we appreciate what the railroad's doing on 30th Street, so thank you.
30th looking
Thank
pretty
you.
Turn it back into a positive.
That's
Take one, get one,
Nice segue.
work on the next one. Get one completed and then work on the next one.
Anything else to report? That's it. We were adjourned at 5:54.
Okay, we'll call Parks, Recreation, and Davis Shea to order at 5:54. First time is the Star Spangled Celebration.
Again, we have a special guest in John Drum, so I'm just gonna let John take it over. He's got a couple items, and then he can talk about the Star Spangled celebration if you want to, John.
Well, I'm glad I'm a
Since you were
special
there.
guest today.
And if you have any complaints, John's here tonight.
They go to John Geller.
John, you did a great job again.
Thank you. Everyone did a great job. It was, we had a very good committee this year. A lot of council helped participate. The mayor participated. Bob, your Parks Department did an outstanding job. And I think we probably had the largest attendance at any event we've ever had. The fireworks went out without a hitch. The simulcast was great. The vendors, most of them made a lot of money. And, you know, the crowd was well behaved and appreciative, I think, of the event. So there's a whole list of people that need to be thanked. So I want to thank everybody in here. I know if you weren't there physically, morally supported, or financially supported, and it is appreciated. So thank you.
I thought the fireworks looked pretty. They were pretty nice. I thought overall. So, big explosion. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, this is the first year that I was actually here on that time that I wasn't in the ballpark, because usually if I wasn't here, I was in California or someplace, but to not be in Geller Park, but to be out on 79 and stuff and watch the people along 79, I mean, different streets, setting up chairs, and I mean, it looked like they were setting it for Mopar almost, the way they were lined up different places. And Kroger had stuff outside, and people were going in there buying, you know, drinks and food and stuff and sitting outside, and then drove on down 79 different places. And it's the first time to really see the outside number of people, you know. And everyone always says there's probably as many people, if not more, even outside the park that watch the fireworks as, you know, anything. But I ended up watching from another church back here, and they had a church function or something like that, but there was just probably 100 and some people were better there lined up, you know, watching
My
stuff.
neighbor said that, car lot right here that vacated recently, you know, across from Howard Johnson, they said that was lined up just like a big football field.
Yeah.
Oh,
Clark Motors, yeah. Hey,
John,
Bob?
if you want to continue, go ahead and ask. Do you have a list of requests for the fireworks?
Thanks,
Go
Bob.
ahead.
I've got two things. First of all, the fireworks are paid for through donations from everyone in the city, and they cost $11,000. When we get the money for the donations, it goes into the general fund. And before the fireworks began this year, we had $15,600 worth of donations from last year and this year. So the fireworks cost $11,000, and what we usually do is we pay for the fireworks out of the parks service fund. So each year after the fireworks are over and we get the bill, we appropriate that amount from the general fund, $11,000, and transfer it to the park service fund. So I have a legislative request here asking council to appropriate $11,000 from the general fund to transfer to Bob, or the park service fund. That still leaves us about I can't remember the exact amount, I calculated it. About $5,000, I think, going towards next year's fireworks.
It's a good start.
Yeah,
Good seed money.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, anybody have any questions about that?
John, you have another item on
Yeah, I do. When we put the bicycle path in a couple of years ago, the city was provided to pay for 20% of the total cost of the project. ODOT calculated that 20%. We appropriated the money and gave it to them. Once the project ended and ODOT finished clearing the books and paying everyone, there was a surplus of city money left. So we received a $100,000 check a couple of months ago from ODOT as a rebate for our match. Now, not all of that money is ours, because the Evans Foundation also provided a significant amount of our match. The proportion of that $100,000 that really should go back to the Evans Foundation is $31,219.23. When they provided us with the funding, they asked if we did get anything back, that we provide them with a proportion of their money back. So what I have here is a legislative request asking the council appropriate $31,219.23 from capital improvements, because the $100,000 check we got went into capital improvements, and authorized the payment of that amount to the Evans Foundation.
Anybody have any questions about that?
That should be on our council agenda for the August 5th meeting. And I would encourage council to waive the second reading on that and let's get that check cut. It's not our money, it's the Evans Foundation's money, and there's no need for us to hold on to it.
Where are we at with that project now? With the project of getting to Cherry Valley?
Nowhere.
Cause. I didn't thought I was supposed to say that.
I thought the property was.
Some of the
I've seen
logistics of the at-grade crossings, is that an issue, or?
That would be an issue. The Evans Foundation obviously would be a contributor to the project. I think the decision was made not to move forward as its current design was presented to them. It's a tough nut to crack. You know, if it would have been easy to do, the city probably would have done it a long time ago.
Sure.
But there's a lot of different challenges.
There's probably only one at-grade crossing that maybe could be eliminated. The rest of them, you have to have them, right? If they're concerned about at-grade, I mean, you'd have to cross the Port Authority Drive.
Well, from the last involvement that you had, Bob,
Yeah.
we do not own right-of-way. We do not own enough right-of-way on the south side of Irvingwick as you get past the Port Authority entrance. We don't own enough right-of-way on the south side of Irvingwick, and we don't own enough right-of-way on the west side of Keller, right there at the intersection, for it to come across to the west side, cross Irvingwick, and head straight up the west side of Keller. We would have had to have crossed Irvingwick sooner, prior to the driveway, come on the north side of Irvingwick, come up the east side of Keller, cross to the west, come up, cross back to the east.
Wow.
And come up.
I didn't know all those were in there.
Yeah.
So the south side of Irvingwick, we don't have any right of way from our
Not-
our bike path up to the Port Authority Drive.
Not past the Port Authority Drive
East or west?
entrance.
James Parkway or the other one?
No. The
West.
yeah, before you get to the railroad tracks.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Once you get past there, it's ugly.
And it's very much the same scenario as we have with the Lee property. When they built the road was on a path that they just built. And there wasn't any clear definition in deeds as to what the right-of-way of the road is. Some properties have the right-of-way of the road 30 feet from the edge of the property line, you know. And on the other side, it has none at all. So it's an area that could be easily contested if you were to really push it. Just like with the Lee's property at the north end of Keller Drive. It's a mess.
Okay.
No solution. No.
Speaking of the Port Authority, we got a complaint from the Port Authority on the bridge. The lights are on all the time during the day, and our lights were on in the tunnel. So Craig went and checked it out, and then we found out the photo cell takes care of the lights in the tunnel and the lights above the tunnel at the same time. They're connected together. They're not separate. So we got to get up and it's on some high pole. So it's got to go up there, and we think, of course, it's the photo cell. So we're correcting the lights on the Port Authority Bridge, and along with that will be the lights with the tunnel. usually when our lights go out in the tunnel, means somebody has taken something and beat it to smithereens. But that's not the case this time. It's the photo shell. So, which you probably had to put up 100 feet so somebody couldn't hit that and knock that out, so.
You're saying they were staying on all the time rather than
Yeah,
being off,
yeah.
so.
Yeah, so we're fixing that.
When are the lights under the new drive come on?
I don't know what time it's set, but it's, you know, we try to adjust it to when time changes and things like that, so. And also with this rain we've had, and I was praying that the river wouldn't flood down at Hoback. I don't think it ever
You don't think it did?
did, and that's always a good thing. But again, we're getting caught up with the mowing. It's canceled a lot of ball games we've had over there, and just when you get those pop-up thunderstorms, and also it's affecting the pool of us having to close early or not close, or it's a tough decision for them.
Speaking of mud being on the bike path frequently, we have a little street sweeper,
You have, I mean,
sweep some of the mud off the bike paths and under the bridges where the water's
you're
collected.
not going to sweep anything. It's when you get that kind of sediment,
Yeah.
it can be 2 to 3 foot deep. So your hand's shoveling it, and in fact, the one down the Port Authority is closed right now because of that. But we either have to rent. You can't get a backhoe in there, so you have to shovel it out, or you have to rent a bobcat to get in there. That you can get in there, and then the portion down at Hoback that goes near the river, I don't know if that should ever be put in there.
It's not deep, it's just
Yeah.
a nuisance.
Well, that we could go in there, but some of it, when it floods underneath by Henderson, that what's called over here, the funeral home. I mean, the sand can get that deep. I mean, it's ridiculous. So it takes us a while to do that. So
And
if
that
it dries out, we can
path
try to get
is
some stuff
higher
out.
above the normal water line than the path out
Yeah.
here at the Port Authority.
It only takes.
That is not very high above the water
It's a
line.
foot.
over
It's a
here.
foot. It can go up about a foot.
Yeah.
We're in the water. there.
Yeah, we will always have that problem over here.
You know what I talked about, why being simple. Because first part of the week, I was going down 30th Street and the guy stopped me. He's from Newark, and he said, I come to council meetings, but he said, I know you're a councilman. And he says, you need to tell whoever's responsible for Gallup Park, he says, it's the best I've ever seen it. I said, just today? He said, no, all year. He said, I've been going over there and walking, and he said, that is really beautiful, and somebody's doing a bang-up job.
Well, it's
I
like,
said, "Oh, you guys."
you have that part of your house once a year, you have to spruce up, so we try to spruce up for the Star Spangled celebration. When your wife gets all over you, honey, we gotta do this, we gotta do this, okay, we'll do that, so. But I appreciate that. So anyway, the rain has caused some havoc for us around the city, but, looks like it's gonna dry out here a little bit, so it'll get better. If you have been to the pool, which I don't know if any of you have, but we have a slide in the activity pool that's broke. The mayor has seen it. And to replace both sides of it, it's gonna be around $3,000. We've already ordered it, hoping we can get it in before the end of the year. And I think the mayor and I haven't decided. There is some money in my budget, but to take that money out of there could hurt us if something else happens. So we may be coming back and ask if that money can be taken out of capital improvements. And again, it'll be around $3,000. But we said we'd decide that later on.
Yeah, we need to take a look and see. The problem, okay, if you can picture the activity pool, you've got the thing there with the bucket. You got two slides that come out either way and down like this. Where you would enter the slide, where it's bolted into the side of the structure, you can stand there and you can see it from outside the pool. Where the bolts are, the plastic around there is cracked on a number of bolts, not just one. And obviously it's something that has started to happen this summer because nobody saw it before, but the stress that caused it, of course, would be from the years of use. So the piece, what we need to do is we need to replace that whole first piece of the slide that is bolted into the side. And what Bob's saying is that the other side of the slide, it's the same thing, it's got the same stress, so those are the two.
And it's closed right now too, they can't use it.
Yeah.
Did you say it has been ordered?
Yes.
Yeah. We
thought
wanted
that
to
we-
get it ordered right away so that we could try to get it in place
Don't
before
know
the
yet.
pool season ends.
Cause it's just not an item that they just have in stock. Of course, my favorite line is you call them, oh, we've never had that happen before. Had that happen to us a lot.
Yeah. You can see where, like, as you look at the slides, like I said, it starts out like this and then goes down. As it comes around, we've got a couple of different spots where there's a pole that's anchored into the pool, and then it comes up, and then it has a piece like this that goes around underneath the tube that you're sliding down. The problem obviously is that where this is bolted into the side and people are getting on it, maybe they're landing a little heavy, getting on it anyway, so there's a lot of stress there. And there's really no, if we were to anchor that piece the way that we have supported, a couple other spots on down the slide, you would have these two poles right in the middle of that area underneath that's open where kids, walk underneath there, and it has water that overflows there, right? I mean, you're kind of supposed to do that. So I was telling Bob today, as I was looking at it, the only thing that I could see is there's an orange painted metallic piece underneath here, underneath the part that the kids stand on where they go into the slide. I don't know how much space there is, but maybe there would be a way to anchor something to that metallic piece that would then have the U-shaped support underneath the pick. But I don't know that there's going to be enough space on that orange painted metal. I just, from where I was, you couldn't see because I was looking at it from the side. I don't know how far out that goes. But that's really the only place I could see, unless you wanted to put those. And like I said, then it makes it hard to for the kids to be able to walk underneath there with the waterfall falling on them.
Yep.
So I don't know.
Well, Craig will figure out something, the best way to do it. It's closed now until we get that part, and we're not sure we can get it before the end of the year. So, not too bad. Then under other items, Eddie had gotten us a NatureWorks. It was NatureWorks grant. We got for playground equipment at Geller Park, and next week we will be taking down some of the old wooden structure that we have there, and we'll be taking that down. The big dumpster we rented for the Star Spangled Celebration. Craig's going to cut the post off and dump them in there, and then we're going to dig out the rest. And then that'll open it up for Robertson to come in and put the new equipment in.
Robertson Construction has, they're a great community company that we have, and Christian has donated the time and talents of Robertson Construction to install the new equipment, which allowed us then to have installed better equipment than otherwise if we'd had to pay for it. What is that, a 75-25 project, right, that grant? Okay. So, thanks to them for their assistance. Do we know when they want to start that?
Eddie kind of alluded to as soon as the equipment comes in.
Okay.
But I'm not sure when the delivery date is.
Because one of the things that I talked with Christian about is the opportunity. Every once in a while I'll have a church or some group or whoever that would like to donate their time toward a city project. Well, obviously, we're going to have Robertson Construction handle, pouring the footers and all that stuff for this equipment, putting the support poles in. But as far as the actual equipment itself, putting it together, that could be a community project. We could, make a day out of it at Geller Park and involve any number of organizations or groups that, would like to volunteer time to make it happen. And, he and I talked about that idea. Obviously, in doing that, we need to set a date and publicize the date so that we can, get the community involved. So, if that, I would say let's get that date established as soon as we can with them as to when they want to do it, and then, the city will do what it can to help publicize
By
that.
the end of next week, everything should be out of there if it goes according to plan. So
Okay.
by the end of next week, Robertson can have the place. So
Okay.
Is the equipment here?
it's not here yet.
No,
Not here yet.
no.
We
You
just
don't have any
know.
idea when it'll be here yet.
Oh, you probably do. I do not, but somebody does.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we should be able to estimate.
Usually when you have playground equipment, what we have paid in the past to have it put together and everything, it's 33% of the cost of the equipment.
Yeah.
So if it's a $30,000, $10,000 to put it in.
Yeah. I mean, this was having
It's a
some
pretty
Robertson
big
Construction
donation.
help with it. It was a big deal. It was a big deal that to have them be willing to do this, for us. And I told him, I said, you can put a little plaque thing there, or we can do something to recognize, the donation that the business is making. I've got no problem with that. I think it's warranted.
That's all I have.
You're good.
Anybody else have anything? Yes, Jeff.
Can you share with us what the financial impact on the pool will be in 3 weeks of rain, essentially?
I haven't run any numbers on it right now.
I was looking for more than a one-word answer
I'm
there.
sorry.
It hasn't been good, but I haven't run any numbers. Nothing right
You're full of one-word answers here when we're talking about the Keller Drive bike paths and
now.
Pretty bad,
huh? I'll have something next week. But it hasn't, so the numbers come in, it hasn't been really a good thing, so.
gathered that. I just
Anything else?
Yeah. This
So,
week hopefully will be
the
good.
last two Julys haven't been good months for us. We've had the storms
Yeah.
and electricity, so it'll probably end up being maybe a better month if we can get a good week of weather. Get caught up a little bit.
July.
Memberships were decent at the beginning, so.
Yeah. I remember those first 2 weekends when we were open, the weather wasn't good, and you get a lot of memberships then too. Beginning of the year, people might as well buy a membership, and that was tough.
Yeah, the first 2 weeks it can really explode if you have good weather, but it's all based on weather.
Yeah, this tropical rainforest that we seem to live in now. Something you got to remember, and as negative a viewpoint as this is, the pool fund obviously still pays the debt service on the improvements that were done. And we got, what, Keith, another 7 or 8 years of payments on that?
It was a 20-year loan and you refinanced it at 10-year, maybe last year or 2 years, maybe 2 years ago.
That's what I'm thinking, maybe it was 2 years ago or
So I
so.
have 8 years.
I'd guess 8 years.
Yeah.
Which, that payment each year is 120 to 130, something like that. And that comes out of the pool fund. So, like I said, the pessimistic view is that even if the pool were to lose 80, 90, $100,000 in a year, that's not as much as if we were just say, we're not going to operate the pool. So the need for us to operate the pool, in my mind, is crystal clear, because it end up costing us more anyway. What we got to try to find is ways where we can, reduce expenses and opportunities of increasing the revenue in the pool fund. So that's where the challenge is in my mind.
Yeah, we're still, covering all our expenses. I mean, we're still netting money. It's the debt service that can put us under.
Yeah.
And again, for the 1 millionth time, I'll say this, that wasn't part of the original plan. The debt service was just gonna be paid out of the debt service fund. And then we were doing so well that we ended up taking out the pool fund, which we have paid well over $1 million back to the debt service until we have the pool fund. So that's been a good thing, But if it gets a little bit less and less, just have to be prepared that we may have to pay some of that debt service out of the general fund.
Well, and that's what happens when the pool doesn't break even.
Right.
The general fund covers
Right.
whatever extra portion of that the pool fund can't handle.
This won't be the first year that occurs.
Yeah.
We've had some deficit years.
Oh, yeah.
We've had to feed 30,000 debt service, for example. Yeah, I remember.
Anything else for Parks, Recreation, and David Shea? Nothing? We will adjourn at 6:00.
Finance next, and then we got a break.
Yeah.
Are you okay with that? You got Woody's?
While just passing those out, Brian Johnson called me this afternoon and said he was going to try to make it tonight, but he'd have to get someone to stay with his wife while he did that. And I said, well, don't, because he's looking at probably maybe only a couple weeks or so to look at. And so I told him, I said, take care of his family first and her, and worry about this second.
He stopped in the office last week. I updated him on some of the stuff going on in safety committee and all that. Just trying to keep him engaged a little bit, but obviously that's where he needs to be.
Yeah. And I told him if he did have someone come, could want to just come to like the council meeting, or whatever he wanted to do, So he may show up still for council. I don't know, but I wouldn't, He goes, "You're not going to impeach me, are you?" And I said, "No."
The charter say how many meetings you have to show up as a council?
Yeah.
One or two a year under the charter, and still be in compliance.
I don't think there's
I don't know if there's anything in there.
Right,
Really
so I mean,
I think the state says.
family first, Brian, forget about this.
Yeah.
Okay, with that, 6:22, Finance Committee order, everybody got an agenda that wants one? First item, appropriate $1,275 from the Police Professional Training Fund to send 3 officers to the hostage negotiation conference in Columbus.
And that also includes Sergeant Ream's training class as well.
That's Ream, and who else? Doug, do you know?
Well, he's the one going to the training seminar. The 3 going to the hostage. I don't know that I know that.
He didn't say.
Any other comments from the committee? Doug, you got any other comments? That's all right? Item 2, appropriate $1,500 for medical and psychological tests in the police department.
New officers, right?
New officer, and then also remember Chief Shepherd discussed the female who's volunteered, and for her that would be for the reserve status, I believe.
Slovakian.
Yeah, the Croatian.
Croatian,
or-
whatever.
Yeah.
Comments? Thumbs up? Third item, appropriate $1,825 from capital improvements for electronic access door lock and 50 electronic fobs. Doug, any other comments on this? Coming out of your committee? Committee,
He said it just needs to be done.
Well, this is the one where it seems to be breaking more and more frequently, and rather than continuing to throw money at repairing what we have there, we need to replace it.
Stop paying mouse holders quite the massive
And it gives him a better, tracking of
Who's coming in and who's coming out, yeah.
Okay. Fourth item, appropriate $4,460 from capital improvements to purchase carpet in the police department. One bid coming from Right Rug.
Right, right.
We've
They've
done our
already
due
pulled up
diligence
the
on this
old,
already.
they've already pulled up the old,
Yeah.
padding underneath, so there's nothing but dust, so it really needs to be done.
Comments? Up?
John, this may have been before your time. Do you recall, was the whole building done at the same time, carpeting wise? 'Cause
It was, and
what they
the
discovered in the police department was a little disturbing.
police department was done a second time after the whole building was recovered.
Oh, okay, okay.
So,
Well, that's where he was saying that we should have gotten something that he doesn't think we received.
okay,
Right.
So this is actually, it'll be the third time that carpets went in over there.
since I've been here.
We're gonna watch this installation closely.
Yeah.
But we feel good about Right Rug.
And they're not very far away. We know where they're at.
Who knows what commercial?
They can run, but they can't hide.
85 is.
Do you know what it looks like?
Yeah.
Kind of brown and got bubbles.
Moving on. Appropriate $31,219.23 to reimburse the Evans Foundation from the capital improvement fund, or authorize the payment of that amount to the reimbursement use funds associated with the water park or for the bike path. Deb Cole, any other comments?
No, I think that we discussed that, I think it was pretty clear.
Committee, okay?
Okay.
Sixth item, $11,000 to Parks and Services to reimburse the parks budget for fireworks. Pass this on the first reading. Deb, any other comments?
No, it's
Committee?
just money that was donated for that purpose, and just needs to pull back out of the general fund and into the park
Just
service.
moving money around.
Just moving it around.
Cletus?
Budgets, yeah.
Seventh item, appropriate $7,946 within the water fund to repair State Route 79 north of Hopewell Road. Enter into a contract with Spires Paving. Hey, John, how are you? Good to see you. You shaking this
Your
head.
family railroading. Actually, he did.
All right, what's next? What's next?
Do the Gellers need to have a recess out here?
I did, I'm just telling
Keep
you.
an eye on the table of yelling.
Do you have any comments on
John,
John,
what's the name of that?
Comments on
What's the
that?
name of that paving company?
Spires Paving.
Spires.
Spires.
CIRES.
Spires State.
Okay, from the Dewey, Cheatham and Howe,
Is that 7946, Jeff? Is that
$7,946. Doug, do you want to elaborate on
Yeah, I just,
change or coming out of your,
it was gonna come out of the $10.
was coming out of
match.
street?
Mr. Kelly made the idea that, since there was quite a bit of money there and there's not a whole lot of money left in that paving fund, that, maybe, we should just, since it was so big an area.
That's what all I said was
John,
it was a water
since it
break,
was
so
so-
the water
so
department
big an
paid for it.
area,
That's all I said.
take it from your fund.
Since you weren't here.
For $10.
Are you serious?
If you normally have a water break, who
right
pays
there.
for it? How do you normally pay?
It's not on that agenda. We've got, this is all penciled in, buddy.
agenda?
Well, it's an add-on.
It's an add-on.
How do you normally pay for when you do have water main breaks and stuff? How do you normally fix them?
You still pay, we pay for the material, right?
You pay for it, right?
So this is something that was kind of an add-on big thing.
That's what the thinking was, John, is that if there's a water main break that causes it, is the water department.
Normally, yeah.
Street department sends a bill to the water
Normally we
department
pay.
for the material.
Yeah, they actually give me the bill for the materials and then.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're just doing the same thing.
We're just doing
Yeah,
it in
it's
a
just a
legislative request.
bigger repair.
fashion.
a bigger
The only thing
repair.
that is there's a company coming in to do the whole work with the material and.
Now, where was this
labor,
at
so-
again?
You know, over there on Meritor, remember
Yeah.
that main break
Yeah.
in the fall?
Matthews Ford and Meritor.
Yeah.
We had to do a quick fix on it.
It
It's
had
Now we're
just
going
been
to the
paid,
real
right?
normal.
Fix.
So we're
It
gonna
had
cut it
just
out.
been
and redo
paid,
it.
that's.
Okay,
It was
yeah,
fixed.
now that's really
Hadn't been.
Okay.
So, you know, we didn't backdoor you, we just said,
No,
you know,
Yeah.
all
Alright.
There you are, Jim.
Because I think
They
we
got
actually
him straight.
Didn't the company that was doing some work on Franklin?
Yeah.
come
Yeah,
down
they
here?
were.
Yeah.
And did some-
Yeah.
Yeah.
That didn't work
But
out
it
too good.
just, it wasn't real smooth.
Okay.
And we helped roll it and do all that stuff. It was kinda good. They had to bring it all the way from Columbus and it set up a little bit too firm.
Yeah.
Wasn't hot enough.
Yeah.
It was cold, you know.
No, that's normal, that's normal procedure.
Okay.
All right. Any other comments on this little plywood item here? Water fund. Anything else?
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
Okay, that's it for legislative requests. Under other items, Dr. Alexander, you want to report?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I read in Ohio newspapers that the Ohio deferred comp was flush with money for the first time in maybe 2 decades. And that they were so flush that they were going to issue refunds. And they did. And the city of Heath received a $52,000 and change refund, which is the first time, certainly since I've been auditor, and the first time that I recollect since I've been here. So that's pretty significant. Somebody's doing something right at workers' comp in the state of Ohio, it would appear. I just simply reported we received the check and I put it where it belongs.
Can we get $7,946 to the water fund?
Actually, it did get dispersed all through the city in the different payrolls, so the water and wastewater division certainly did get a piece of this.
Good, there you are.
Got somebody.
Doesn't quite replace the estate tax, but it's a little bit.
Keith, how many, it was this for a period of time, you know, going X years back, do you know, or this wasn't just a 1-year thing, right?
I don't think it was a 1-year thing, but I don't really know. The Bureau of Workers' Comp,
Cash
they've got actuaries that figure out how much money they need for pending claims and expected claims and so forth, and they had more money than they needed.
You know, along the lines of, I don't know necessarily that, I don't know that it falls under workers' comp, but certainly accidents and things like that have claims that impact workers' comp. I want to let council know that Nick, the other day, came to my office to talk about a matter, and he brought with him some information regarding training classes that AFSCME offers to conduct free of charge, right, Nick?
Right.
On, you know, various safety-related subjects, you know, enclosed space training, is there something there on trenching too? Yeah, I mean, there were a few different, what were some of the other ones that we kind of highlighted as interest? The first aid one, right? First aid. I might see if our fire department can handle that, because as I read the description, it dealt with first aid, CPR, and using those AED.
Yeah.
And I figure, well, since it's probably our squad that would respond, maybe our fire department would offer the training to our employees on what they would want, how they want things handled. There was another one I know. There was the trenching. There was the enclosed space.
I can't remember what that.
Yeah.
There was about 12 different things.
Yeah, there were about 12 different things. There were maybe 3 or 4 that kind of caught our eye as things that made a lot of sense. And so, I just want to thank Nick for bringing that information to my attention. I did not know that AFSCME offered training in those areas, and but I think it's great that they do. We're going to look to try to utilize it, and I appreciate you being heads up and getting me the info.
Now, do you know enough that is all these things included in a meeting, or do you pick this?
You pick this, you pick that. It's like 4-hour session kind of things. And Nick, you said some of them would go toward the employees' continuing education requirements, right?
Yeah, our credit hours for our licensing. Yeah.
Anything else for finance?
Yeah, Mayor? I have one thing, I have a legislative request. I didn't want to.
$7,946.
Out of the street fund.
I have an ordinance bidding process out of streets, water, capital, no.
This is for finance then, right?
Last public service meeting, last public service meeting we had, we discussed a matter of trying to update the SCADA system with the PLC and so forth, and I said I would get back with you on this matter. Unfortunately, it hasn't been real successful, but I've met with the engineers since our last meeting. I've also met with Westerman and SCI, which are 2 companies that I would want to get bids from. The reason why is Westerman Company is a company that's done a lot of work for us in the past. SCI has also done some work down at the wastewater plant. And they all deal with the Micrologic PLCs that we're trying to replace. If you remember, we had a MOSCAD PLC unit down there at the water department, which is no longer able to get parts for. And we struggle trying to find parts for them. There is one company based out of Michigan that does service the MOSCAD PLC. Let me kind of describe for you, I know it's sometimes when I throw out like PLCs and MOSCAD, different things, let me kind of tell you what this system does. Basically, it helps us operate the plant. You'll have several tanks. We have several tanks in the area. We have several pumps in the area. We have the plant, everything. What it does is it brings information in to the PLC, and then the PLC converts it into the computer, where we have the ability to know that there's 50 feet of WCLT tank. We know that the pump station's working out of pine. We know that whatever's going on, it basically controls things. It keeps us from going out and checking a tank level and saying, oh, there's 50 feet, I'm gonna have to run down, turn the pump station on until it gets up to 70 feet. And then I have to wait for it to get to 70 feet, and then I have to shut it off. And basically, it's the brain of the plant. But we oversee it. We see how, make sure it's running properly and so forth, and set the parameters and different things we have to do. So that's kind of how important this is. So what I tried to do is I tried to get another estimate on Jeff Crable's suggestion, and I think it was a very.
Blame it on me.
I think it was a very good suggestion. I think it's something that we.
This, right?
Yes. Yeah. I think it's something that we always need to do. Is get as many estimates as we can. Well, the 2 companies that I felt that we've had that we've had good success with. There's other companies out there, don't get me wrong, but we've used one of those other companies and haven't had a lot of success with that company. The company was called Dublin Tech, and we had to actually bring Westerman in to straighten it out because it wasn't working properly. It cost us more money in the long run, and this was back in 1998. Well, what I tried to do is I got the bid price from Westerman, and they sent it in, and you know, we would kind of rebid everything, looking at things a little differently, because I actually had the engineers talk to Westerman. Engineers didn't have anything to do with this project here. We kind of did it on our own, but they talked with Westerman a little bit, kind of explained to him what was happening down at the water plant and what we needed and so forth. So we kind of got them on the same page and so forth. So Westerman rebid it. Then I tried to get SCI to bid it using I used the exact same thing as Westerman bid, only the numbers were blotted out and they had no idea what was going on price-wise, but they knew what had to be done. You know, the process.
They had the specs.
Yeah, they had the specs. They had the specifications. So what happened was, you know, I waited for a while and I kept getting in contact with them. I think the mayor was in on a little bit of these emails that was coming back and forth, trying to get SCI to give a bid. Well, the last thing that I talked to them about was they felt that since Westerman has done the work in the city and done most of the work, that they didn't feel that they could be competitive enough to give us a bid price, because they really don't. I guess it's kind of hard to say when you have a company that comes in and they work with stuff, you know, they're working with radios and they're working with PLCs and so forth. You understand exactly how that works. Well, they would be kind of at a loss on how to get this to work as efficiently as Westerman, that they could possibly get it for us. So basically where I'm at is I have a legislative request back with Westerman again, okay, because I couldn't really get anyone else to give a bid on. And this time, it has came down a little bit in price. Instead of over $100,000, we've been able to work it out where it's about $89,000, $950. So there's a savings there.
How's that? Did the scope of work change?
Basically, I think what happened was when I called the engineer and I talked to them about what we were doing, and they said they offered to give Westerman a call. The engineer actually offered to give Westerman a call and kind of go through things with them. And what they're doing is they're using some additional components that already existed at the plant, and they kind of worked it out. They didn't need them as much as what we thought, so they kind of worked out what we thought we really needed between the engineer and Westerman, and it kind of brought the price down a little bit.
Okay.
So I mean, and also on the other quote, there
So
was
it's not like we're getting something less.
no.
We just don't need to do some stuff to get where we need to
We
go.
already had the
The
stuff
other
there.
bid, the other bid also had a few lines in there for having replacement parts, where with this new system, we don't really need the replacement parts on hand because McNaughton and McKay, a local vendor, carries that stuff. So why have that sitting on the shelf too?
Right.
So that was an additional charge that was thrown in there that really wasn't necessary either. So that kind of helped a little bit. So I guess what I'm asking you for is approval to go to the next step. Since we're doing this plant expansion, I feel it's necessary that we get Westerman in here as soon as possible to start on their end of working on the PLC and getting things up and running the way it should be. Things are going real well on the expansion, and I'll explain more of that at our public service meeting. But basically, I just kind of wanted to bring the request up again and see if you guys would be willing to move forward with this legislative request.
The dialogue that you just disclosed from the company in Dublin, I think you said?
Yeah, there was.
You have an email chain on that?
Yes, I do.
I think you all, wasn't council copied on
I
that?
actually I didn't send it
My
to the
email
whole
doesn't
council,
work.
but I sent it to Jeff Crick.
My email doesn't work sometimes.
Okay. I sent it at your heathOhio.gov. Okay.
The Chinese have overtaken my email.
Okay, I copied you and the mayor.
I'll print it out for him.
Okay.
Because I think
Oh,
I might have been the last one to respond to
Is there
that.
is there a better email I could get you at, Jeff?
Anything better than that, yeah. Just kidding. My point is,
I can put it in your mailbox if you want.
if anybody ever wanted to open up this as a public record, just copy the email chain.
Okay.
So we know we have done our due diligence. Made strides to attempt to get a second bid. And this is what our results are. So it's not for lack of a good faith effort. Okay? Just put that in the file for
I have it in my file. I emailed it to the mayor. And I
anybody.
also emailed
Again,
it
if
to
the critics ever want to say, wait a minute, we got $100,000. Did we really do this? Yes, we have. And we've done a good job with explaining that. So I'm fine.
I asked John to bring it up tonight so that the ordinance could be drawn up for the meeting on October 5th. Otherwise, I'm sorry, August, yeah, thanks. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been until, you know, the 17th. What is that next? The 19th? Yeah. And I just figured let's get it handled now.
He's the chairman of it.
So, John, right now, are we exposed?
If we've had it go down one time here recently, and we were able to borrow some parts
Yeah.
that was actually left at the wastewater plant. That we found that they had a couple components down there, and they've done away with this during the expansion we did a couple years ago. There was some parts laying down there, and I'm glad we didn't get rid of it because we ended up bringing them up from up down there to get our system up and running. Otherwise, I don't know if it would be.
So is this something where we should encourage council to waive the second reading on this?
Definitely should wait a second.
All right.
Is it on here, Mayor?
Huh? Yes.
We're gonna bring up,
Yeah.
your,
Yeah, a couple different things.
Okay, right?
First of all, I want to let you guys know. Thanks for reminding me, Doug, 'cause I had forgotten about that. I am in the process of creating a new position in the city, a utility collections supervisor. A job description has been drafted. Last week, I emailed a notice to Nick and to Leroy Hurd. He asked me, I don't know what his title is. I just call him AFSCME representative. I don't know what else to call him. Okay. My intention is to have this position be civil service protected, but not in the bargaining unit. It has supervisory responsibilities, including evaluation duties, recommendation for hiring and firing capabilities. We've crafted this. We've notified AFSCME. I don't think I heard from Leroy today. I checked Jenna's voicemail and there wasn't one on there. She's on vacation this week. I checked her voicemail. There wasn't one. There wasn't one on mine, so I didn't hear from him today. When I notified AFSCME, I said, in 14 calendar days, or within 14 calendar days, if you'd like to meet and discuss it, that's fine. If not, I'll just go ahead and proceed as planned. So I wanted to just notify you that we're doing that. I want to thank Heath for helping me in drafting the job description. I know John reviewed the information as well, and so we're all in step here as far as how we want to proceed with this position. So I want to notify you all of that. I do not anticipate having to add additional staff to the city in order to fill this position. Second of all,
Jeff, can I ask a question?
yes.
Who would the person be supervising?
The sort of the way it is right now is Linda B has trained, oversees daily the job that Denise does up front. To give you an example of how that structure currently exists.
She also, has to deal with customers coming in with complaints and so forth. And, she has to make a lot of decisions on whether or not a person can, make payment plans, different things, and she controls the money. Another thing is when people need to be shut off because they haven't paid or whatever, she talks to the distribution crew. She has to have them there at certain times in order to shut them off. She has to know when they're shut off, she has to know when they're turned back on in order to get, so she's kind of, she kind of does her own thing there where she's making decisions and so forth that really a supervisor would make. And she also supervises Denise, who's right under her, which is also partly on the utilities payroll, and has trained her and so forth. So there is some supervision ability there.
That's de facto how it works today. This is basically a not acknowledging how it works today. The other thing I wanted to mention to you guys, and I mentioned this a few months ago, early next year, our contracts with our bargaining units expire. So, new contracts need to be negotiated. I asked you guys to let me know if you wanted me to be involved in that process, because it is not a contract, it's not my contract, it's your contract with the bargaining units. I asked you to let me know if you wanted me involved in that process. I'm willing to do that, but I have not heard from council as to whether or not you want me involved in that process. If you want me involved in that process, I need you guys to give me direction as to how you would want these collective bargaining agreements to be structured for the FOP dispatch, FOP officers and sergeants, AFSCME, and the fire. So I'm asking you guys again, the clock's ticking, let me know if you want me involved in that negotiation process, and what do you want, so that I have some direction of what you guys want to see.
Might be a good idea to do that in resolution form, so it's in writing and make sure that everybody's on the same page. Instead of just each of you individually.
Not necessarily how they want what they would like to see included in the agreements, whether or not you want me involved in that process, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, if you could just decide what the terms of the agreements are, then you wouldn't have to have any.
I'd just like to say that, being a part of it 4 years ago, 3 years ago, I think that the mayor being involved in it, I had the opportunity, you guys gave me the opportunity of setting, helping out, I think, and I think it saved the city a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's something that we really need to look at him doing it again, because I think
It's got a pretty good track record.
yeah.
So we're talking about executive sessions and things like that. So maybe have an open dialogue.
Mm-hmm. I would assume you'd want that.
So
You'd want those conversations in
I'll let you
executive
guys
session.
work this straight. Anything else for finance? Just pretend we're still in that. Okay. Adjourned.
Thank you.
Take a break and we'll do caucus at 7 o'clock.
Got my vote, Mark, I don't want no part of it, so. Hey, Dick,
I think that'd be a good idea.